Devante. Skill 2 and a very good evening, everyone. Welcome back to MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 20th of January 2026. I'd like to extend a great welcome to all new viewers to this channel. MSBS is glad and grateful to have with us Bhante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh, to conduct this weekly session since 2020. This week, Bhante will be continuing on the subject on Sammaditthi Sutta, right view from Majjhima Nikaya 9. Bhante will be leading the homage to the Buddha and taking a 5 precept for Buddhists. Now let us compose our mind, put our palms together and welcome Bhante. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence. So we start off with paying respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow, second bow, third bow. And the opening chant, homage. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. 3 refuges. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. And the 5 precepts. Pāṇātipātā vēramani sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Adinādāna vēramani sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu miccacara vēramani sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Musāvādā vēramani sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Surameraya majjapamādātāna vēramani sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Alright, very good evening to everyone. Tonight is the second lesson of the Sammaditthi Sutta on right view. And last week we talked on the introduction of this sutta, or rather this discourse is given by Venerable Sariputta, the right-hand disciple of the Buddha, foremost in wisdom. So talking about mainly the theme on the 4 noble truths, or Venerable Sariputta using different ways to describe right view, using the format of the 4 noble truths. So the first theme is on skillful and unskillful, and if you do unskillful, it will result in suffering. That's the first 2 noble truths. And if you do something skillful, it will lead to cessation of suffering, which is the next 2 noble truths. And same with nutriment. Yeah, so if if we are unskillful with our contact, the different kinds of food, we have the physical food and the contact food, feeling food, and the consciousness food, 4 types of nutriments. And if we cling to them, it will result in suffering. If we don't cling to them, then it will result in ending our suffering. Okay, so we covered this theme already. Okay, so today we are covering new theme, the third theme for tonight. So this is on stress. So this is Ajahn Thanisaro's translation. So stress is actually on suffering. So if you look at the Four Noble Truth format, instead of using suffering or unsatisfactoriness, Ajahn Thanisaro translate dukkha as stress. Okay, so I'll just read from the sutta and comment here and there once in a while. Okay, saying, good friends, having delighted in and approved of Venerable Sariputta's words, the monks asked him a further question. Would there be another line of reasoning by which a disciple of the Noble Ones is a person of right view, who has arrived at this true Dhamma? There would, when a disciple of the Noble Ones discerns stress, the origination of stress, the cessation of stress, and the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress, then he is a person of right view who has arrived at this true Dhamma. So this is the straightforward Four Noble Truth format. Okay, next. Okay, and what is stress? So this is like the definition of the First Noble Truth. Birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair are stressful. Not getting what one wants is stressful. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. This is called stress. So usually in the Thai edition, you might, or those who are familiar with the Sri Lankan and the Burmese edition, you might find that the Thai edition is something missing, something off. Normally we say there are 8 types of suffering: birth, aging, sickness, death. So you find that in the Thai edition, somehow you don't find sickness here. So you find birth is stressful, aging is stressful, then they miss the sickness. Then you have death is stressful. So this is a bit of the difference. So anyway, the whole idea is all these, the first 6 or 7 examples are examples. So the main thing here is clinging to the 5 aggregates, because we need to make use of the 5 clinging aggregates to perceive all these events, to perceive birth, to perceive aging, to perceive death, to perceive people that you like or you do not like, not getting what you want. So all these are part of your perception, part of your 5 aggregates. You need your eye, you need your ear, you need your mind or consciousness to perceive all these things. So the 5 clinging aggregates are your equipment to perceive all these events. So what are the 5 clinging aggregates? Maybe it's not mentioned here. So the first clinging aggregate is form, F-O-R-M, form. So the form aggregate are the 4 elements: earth, fire, wind, water. So we kind of mentioned this a lot in the meditation routine, the 4 elements. And the second aggregate is the feeling aggregate. So together it's a package. So when you feel the elements, there's also feelings. So the feeling aggregate, you have pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. 3 types of feeling. So that's the second aggregate. And the third aggregate is called the perception aggregate. So basically perception is based on your memories. You give a label, you give a word to that experience. So that's the perception aggregate. Like if you can read the words here, you're using your perception. perception aggregate. And the fourth aggregate is called mental formation. Every time a thought is formed, then that's the mental formation. Every time you're thinking, you're producing something, even the first, even all the aggregates, when the elements appear, when the feelings appear, all these are part of mental formation. And the fifth aggregate is called consciousness. So basically that's your attention, your awareness. You're aware with your eyes, your ears, your nose, tongue, body and mind. So we call this a sixth sense based consciousness. So together they are the 5 clinging aggregates. Alright, so we need to understand this first before we slowly move on to other things. Okay, so these 5 clinging aggregates by itself, no suffering. Then we will look at the second noble truth. What is the origination of stress? So this is like the fuel to push or to make you suffer. The craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there, i.e. craving for sensuality, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. This is called the origination of stress. So you need the craving to fuel and push this becoming. So we'll talk this later because the whole theme of this sutta is on dependent origination. So we'll talk about this later. So craving is required to boost this ego, this sense of self. So only when there is this sense of self, there's an I, you feel that you are you, then I will feel pain, I will feel hurt, I am aging, I am stressful. So the I will be the recipient, and this sense of I, this sense of self, it is magnified by craving. Magnified by craving. So the Buddha identified the source of the suffering is this craving. And this craving here is the unwholesome craving. So the Pali word is tanha, T-A-N-H-A. So some people like to ask, you want to strive to do good, be a better person, want to improve in your meditation and all those good aspiration. So that is also another type of craving, another kind of desire. So we call this positive desire. We call this chanda. So there's a Pali word for it, chanda, different from tanha. So this tanha causes suffering. The negative craving causes suffering. Positive desire is essential for your spiritual improvement and liberation. So you need to take note. So some people might misinterpret. They say, no craving, then everything don't do lah. Just laze around, don't do anything. Then you think, no suffering, lazy. So no. So if a person doesn't want to do anything, it will also increase one's delusion. So how does this craving make use of these aggregates to promote suffering? So let's take a look at the feeling aggregate. So that's the second aggregate. So we have the 3 types of feeling. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. 3 types of feelings. So normally, untrained person, unmindful person. So in meditation, I would say, if your mind is left to autopilot, you do not apply right effort, you do not apply right thought, you just let the mind do what it wants. When the mind responds to pleasant feeling, the mind will naturally, it's a default programming, it will react with greed. If you let your mind autopilot, there's a tendency to react with greed. So that's the first kind of craving based on the aggregates. So if a person experiences unpleasant feeling, you find that here painful, there painful, here uncomfortable, and if you do not have right reflection, some people just say, just watch long, just watch long. So if your so-called practice or your mindfulness of this awareness, that particular style of meditation, if your anchor is not that good, if you're just aware of these feelings, you end up struggling and fighting with this unpleasant feeling. So it ends up having aversion. A person will react with aversion. So that's the second kind of craving. And the third kind of craving, if a person experiences a neutral feeling, so you won't have any greed towards it, there's no pulling, and there's no pushing, there's no aversion towards it, you do not want to fight with it, you believe everything is like normal, so there's no wanting to strive to liberate yourself. You believe everything is normal and status quo, you want to live comfortably, and you want things to remain as the way it is. So that's delusion, responding to neutral feeling. So that's the craving part. Okay, next. Okay, then the third noble truth. What is the cessation of stress? The remainderless fading and cessation. Renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. This is called the cessation of stress. So the Buddhism is not just a pessimistic doctrine. I just teach you everything, the stress and suffering. So the Buddha also got provide solution. There is cessation of stress or the ending of stress. So the definition of ending of stress is the letting go of craving. So you need to identify the source, acknowledge the second noble truth first. If a person don't acknowledge the second noble truth, then we call this a person still don't have right view. So there are many ways to kind of relieve stress, mundane way of coping with stress. So like you can go for entertainment, you can go shopping, traveling, eating your nice food. So all these are mundane ways of coping with stress, but doesn't relinquish craving. So basically the mundane ways of doing things is you're maintaining your craving or even increasing your craving by doing what you want. So that's the circular, mundane way of doing things. So in the spiritual path or the religious path is to identify the source, the root cause of the problem, the so-called evil or the unskillful thoughts, which is the craving. Then we kind of tackle the source of the problem. Okay, then the fourth noble truth. And what is the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress? So to renounce or to let go, right, is sounds very simple. So the solution is basically this eightfold path. It's an 8-step solution. So we have 8 things. So you have right view, right resolve. Okay, so right view, some people translate as right understanding. Right resolve, some people translate as right thoughts, or some people translate as right contemplation or reflection. So it depends on the translator. You have the right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So these are the Noble Eightfold Path. This is called the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. So you need these 8 things. So some people think, meditation, just come here, sit down, do nothing, then you think is you lead to peace. No. So you need to do lots of things. You need the right thoughts or right resolve. You need to reflect on something. There's a theme for you to reflect. You need effort. So the effort is to maintain all these skillful mental qualities. Okay, maybe I go through one by one. So right view here is basically this entire sutta, talking about the Four Noble Truths. A person needs to know the Four Noble Truths. If you do not know the Four Noble Truths, at least in theory, then you probably go to all kinds of means to achieve your happiness. Mundane, circular means to tackle the stress. Yeah, so right view is important. Then right resolve or right thoughts is the execution. The thoughts or the reflection you need to overcome the suffering. So the definition of right resolve is actually thoughts of non-greed, thoughts of non-anger, thoughts of harmlessness. So thoughts of non-anger would be loving kindness. So we are doing loving kindness. Thoughts of non-greed, there are many kinds of things you can do, things like generosity and so on. But in the meditation, we are using impermanence, reflection on impermanence. Yeah, so that's the right resolve part. And then you have right speech. So right speech, you have 4 things. Yeah, so I think the skillful part we covered already on the first chapter. So there are 4 right speech. So if a person avoid 4 things, avoid telling lies. Yeah, avoid harsh speech, avoid idle chatter, avoid divisive speech. So this is considered right speech. Then you have the right action, refrain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and if you want to add this, avoid this alcohol, intoxicants and drugs. And then you have right livelihood, basically any kind of lifestyle or occupation that is honest, in line with the 5 precepts. And then you have the right effort here. So right effort is defined as the 4 right efforts. So effort here is not about pushing. So if you push and push, so some people, the more they push, then you see them, the face like having constipation, too much exertion. So that's not the effort we are looking at. So the effort here is defined as if a person has unskillful qualities, body, speech or mind, then you try to overcome them. So this is the first right effort. And if the second right effort means if the unskillful qualities, body, speech and mind, if they haven't arise, then very good, don't let it arise. So that's the second right effort. Then the third right effort here means if a person does not have skillful qualities, good thoughts, good speech, good actions, then you should develop them, nurture them, develop them. And the fourth right effort here means if you already have skillful thoughts, body and speech, then you should perfect them, maintain them and perfect them. So that's the 4 right efforts. So in our routine, I keep nagging, please generate right thought, right thought. It's maintaining right effort. Because once we stop only, we let the mind autopilot and gone case. And the mind will naturally cling to other things. And the mind is very fantastic. Come up with lots of drama shows and movies and all kinds of things. So the mind will kind of cling to those things, which we call it unskillful. So we practice skillfulness by repeating, intentionally generating right thought. So that's the definition of right effort. And the right mindfulness is we call it mindfulness of the impermanence of 4 things: body, feeling, mind and Dhamma. So this is a very long chapter. I might take many lessons to cover what is right mindfulness, but in short, it means wherever you place your attention. It can be inside the body, it can be outside the body, it can be the mind state, it can be a large area, it can be a small area. You need to be mindful of impermanence. So that's the gist of it. So in, let's say, the sublime states and loving kindness, we are doing enlarged area. We wish all beings in all directions. When we start off wishing the body, that's a restricted area, a small area. So we actually kind of diversifying the practice, or trying to be flexible. If not, a person only learn one style. Let's say they learn the breath meditation only. So that's a restricted mind state. Restricted mind state. And once they come out of the meditation, they do not learn other techniques. Then the mind need to scatter, they need to plan, need to worry, need to pay attention to other things, and look at the road, look at the traffic. Then to them it's not meditation anymore. To them that's not conducive to meditation anymore. So they do not know how to carry on from there. Yeah, so the real, to practice right mindfulness, ideally you can practice in any activity. So the loving kindness practice, when we are doing the all directions part, and kind of enlarging your area of attention, we're actually training to be like multitasking. Whatever you do, it's an opportunity for you to either cling or to detach. Either you have right thoughts or you have wrong thoughts. Yeah, so it's not just about sitting and placing your mind at one place. No, anywhere you place your mind, you can either think correctly or think wrongly. Yeah, so this is for you to kind of put into practice and figure out. Okay, then you have the right concentration. So right concentration here is defined as the 4 jhanas, the 4 levels of concentration. So it's actually important, I would say essential criteria for the stilling of the mind, but the jhanas alone may not lead to liberation. Yeah, may not lead to liberation. So you need additional quality. You need insight. You need the reflection of impermanence. So that is where the right mindfulness come to play. Right mindfulness and right thought and everything. So this Noble Eightfold Path comes in a package. So if a person, let's say, only do purely samatha, he just focus on one object, no reflection, no nothing, no thinking of impermanence, then he's just practicing like a one-fold path, not eightfold path. You need the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah, so it requires the reflection of impermanence and everything to develop a holistic approach. Okay, so a bit heavy. Okay, let's move on. Next slide. Yep. Now, when a disciple of the Noble Ones discerns stress, the origination of stress, the cessation of stress, and the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress, in this way, when having entirely abandoned passion obsession, having abolished aversion obsession, having uprooted the view and conceit obsession I am, having abandoned ignorance and given rise to clear knowing, he has put an end to suffering and stress right in the here and now. So Venerable Sariputta is talking about arahantship. That means full enlightenment. You need to overcome this conceit, which is one of the defilements of fetter. Only an arahant can overcome this different kind of ignorance also. Right, so talks about here and now. So it is possible to achieve it in this lifetime, here and now. It is to this extent too that a disciple of Noble Ones is a person of right view who has arrived at this true Dhamma. Okay, so I believe we kind of stopped the sharing. We open the floor to Q&A in case it's information overload. So anyone has any questions you wish to ask?
Auntie.
Yep.
Just now I didn't really catch you what you say about attaining full enlightenment.
Yeah, so this particular sutta, Venerable Sariputta talks about practicing these Four Noble Truths until reaching full enlightenment. So the right view here is the highest end, the high class kind of right view, not the stream enterer kind of right view.
So we should have already overcome ignorance,
Yes.
right? Like what you mentioned just now.
Yeah.
And besides this point,
Yeah. So only Arahant can overcome ignorance.
thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem. So ignorance is defined as not knowing the Four Noble Truths. So some people are like thinking, hey, we keep on repeating Four Noble Truths over and over again. Now we know already what. So it's not that simple, because in theory we may know the Four Noble Truths, but if we look carefully, like for example the Third Noble Truth, the relinquishment of craving, the letting go of craving. So only a real enlightened person truly overcome craving. Then they can truly understand this Third Noble Truth. Yeah, they put into practice the Fourth Noble Truth, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. Then they experience the Third Noble Truth, which is the total cessation of craving. Then they really fully understand the Four Noble Truth. So for example, like a stream enterer, they may partially have a glimpse of the Four Noble Truth because they haven't fully overcome craving. They still have this obsessed with greed and anger. Okay, hopefully that answers the question. Anyone else want to ask something? Alright, if there is no questions, then we go for a 5-minute break. Then you can also think of questions in the meantime. Then we come back for the guided meditation. So see you all later. All right, while waiting for the rest to return, you can ask questions also.
I think I have a question.
Okay.
There's a friend of mine. He said you only have to practice metta meditation is good enough. He said you don't have to do other.
Yeah, provided the metta meditation contain the Noble Eightfold Path lah. So you need certain right view and think of some impermanence. Yeah, that's possible. In the Buddha's time, any meditation, some practitioners, when let's say they are, let's say when they meet skillful teachers like the Buddha or some of the chief disciples, they just learn one meditation object, one instruction, and they get enlightened. Yeah. So nowadays, the Buddha is not around, so we kiasu a bit lah, we learn more things lah. So in case one doesn't work, we have backup plan.
I think maybe because too many teachers, that's why they have a lot of methods, you see.
Yes. Yeah, probably in the Buddha's time also, sometimes he give instruction differently to different people. So it may seem like one method, but different people have different route, different strategy.
Yeah, also because I think also linked to the past life. Past life they have practiced, so this life then they go in is easier for them.
Yes, everyone has different preference also.
Yes.
Thank
you, Bante Sadhu.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I presume the rest have returned. Any further issues? If not, then we are going to start the guided meditation. So we mute the mic to prevent feedback and echoing. Okay, then we find a comfortable sitting position. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, then the first thing we are going to do is going to do these impurities of the body in meditation. Learn to let go of the body. Also part of these thoughts of non-greed. So we start off visualizing the hairs, all the hairs of the body from head to toe. So visualizing the hairs itself, any hairstylist also can do, and how to add this right reflection, right thought. Because any time if we do not have right thought, when we think of the hairs, if the hair looks beautiful, then you might have greed towards the hair. I like my hair. If let's say the hair appear messy or untidy, then you might react with aversion. Right, so these are the two extremes we try to avoid. So we intentionally wish the hairs well and happy. So first we conjure the image of the hairs, one portion, wish it well and happy, and once we finish the sentence, move on to a new patch of hair, wish it well and happy. So we keep on continuing like this. Do not leave a gap, or do not let the mind idle for more than 2 seconds. Confirm we'll cling to something. So the wishing well and happy is part of the right thoughts. The image of the hairs is part of mindfulness of the body, and the repetition is part of right effort. And then we see how far can the mind settle down. The more you wish the hair is well and happy, little by little you're reducing the aversion, and byproduct will be this mind settling down, and you see how far can the mind settle down. So the mind here refers to this craving and tension mind. You manifest in the form of tension, so you find yourself having stress and tension, then something is wrong. The more you meditate, this tension should reduce, and this so-called tension energy or this tension field will kind of settle down somewhere. And if you find that the mind is quite settled down, like this is the maximum limit, it cannot settle any further already, or the rate of settling is negligible, then we call this your neutral baseline state. So it's just a neutral state, no concentration, nothing special. It's just a neutral state. And this would be the minimum requirement for insight and detachment. Okay, then we switch to the insight portion. So now we're going to think of all these hairs going through birth, aging, sickness, death. So we think of them growing and falling, many cycles. So we kind of fast forward this aging process. And the more we keep looping this birth and death cycle, mentally we can recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or you can use rising and passing. And if there's a significant reduction of greed and anger, and we call this real detachment, so part of the cessation process, there will be certain symptoms of joy appearing for a while. And the more you keep on thinking of impermanence, and you eventually come down to another neutral feeling, but more peaceful, more clarity. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting rising and passing, or birth, aging, sickness, death. So now we are doing insight without any jhanas. And maybe later on, when we do some concentration, then we see the difference in the rate of detachment. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Can we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? So the next part of the body, we can think of the nails, fingernails and toenails, and we wish them well and happy. So no more impermanence, just back to the samatha phase or the calming phase. Just wish the nails well and happy. Okay, and now we think of the nails going through birth, aging, sickness and death. So we cycle through this growing and falling of the nails, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we need to mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or rising and passing. So we get to familiarize ourselves with the attachment and detachment process. Then we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? And the next part of the body, we can think of the teeth, all the teeth inside the mouth. May they be well and happy. So now back to the attachment phase. And all these teeth are subject to birth, aging, sickness and death. So you think of them growing and falling, many cycles. Even though the teeth fall off the most twice, we just keep on repeating. This is just a mental detachment exercise. And as we keep looping this image, we mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or you can use rising and passing. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? So basically you're just observing this sense of self or this sense of ego. Is it increasing or decreasing in intensity? The more you think of impermanence, the more you detach. Okay, then we move on to the next part of the body, which is the skin. The skin that surrounds the entire body. We're going to wish them well and happy. Every patch of skin well and happy. New patch of skin well and happy. And all the skin are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. So we think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we can mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or rising and passing. And we can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? Okay, so now we are switching to a different meditation object. So now we are going to familiarize ourselves with the 4 element sensations. No need to visualize anymore. So now we are going to feel the 4 elements, the earth, fire, wind, water elements. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold. Wind is fast, slow movements. And water is the moist or dry sensations. So it's just feeling the body. So that's part of body or consciousness. So the previous exercise, we are not training the body parts. We are not training the hair, we are not training the skin. We are actually making use of the 5 aggregates to perceive these body parts, and then learn how to detach these 5 aggregates. So same thing, these 4 elements, we are not training the 4 elements. First we make peace with the elements or the aggregates. Whatever sensation appear naturally by itself, do not control it. Then we wish it well and happy. New sensation appear, well and happy. New sensation appear, well and happy. And because we are applying the same right thought to the aggregates, and the result should be quite similar, and the mind settling down to this neutral baseline emotion. So we are going to take note of this emotion for your own comparison and reference. So we call this the restricted kind of loving kindness, not selfless enough. And now we are going to cultivate boundless loving kindness. We are going to wish, may all beings in all directions well and happy, above, below, and all across. May all beings be well and happy. Don't have to exert or push, let the mind extend naturally by itself. However far you wish to extend doesn't matter. And in that widened area of attention, we are going to perceive all beings as the 4 elements. Don't have to visualize how they look like. So whatever sensation that appear, we are going to wish, may all beings be well and happy. And there's no way to visualize all beings, so we're going to just use the lowest common denominator. Any sensation appear, any element appear, we're going to wish, may all beings be well and happy. So the part of the right understanding is to understand this loving kindness. The emphasis is on kindness, or friendliness. So whatever element appear, we are going to wish them well and happy. So kindness can be applied to anybody we can respect, everyone as sentient beings. But love, on the other hand, might be very subjective. Keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. But our right effort is keep repeating as long as you can hear yourself. Wishing may all beings be well and happy means you're still awake. And for those who are still following, if the conditions are right, you have the right thought, right effort, you keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy, and you trigger this right concentration. So usually loving kindness may lead one to the first level of concentration, indicated by some increment in joy and happiness, compared to the neutral baseline state from earlier. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. keep planting the causes. Okay, so having some calmness, then we're now attempting to do the insight portion for the loving kindness. We're going to reflect how to cultivate a more detached kind of loving kindness. So we're going to think of impermanence. So any sensation appear, this time we mentally recite, rising and passing. And if the joy of detachment start to disappear, then one may experience a stronger kind of neutral feeling. Neutral but awake, yeah? So we call this equanimity. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. Okay, then we switch to the second sublime state, which is compassion, and using the lowest common denominator, we are going to wish may all beings be free from suffering with every element, so no need to visualize anything. So any dramatization, any scenario that you need to worry and plan, so that is creating excess worry, which is a hindrance. It may be good at solving external problems, but it doesn't lead to inner peace. So we temporarily set aside all the worrying, come back to the elements, don't imagine anything, any sensation appear, and we wish may all beings be free from suffering. All beings, when they cling to the elements, when they react with greed or anger to the elements, then that is actually a suffering also, the lowest common denominator suffering. So every moment element appear, we are going to wish, may all beings be free from suffering. And if the conditions are right, keep on wishing may all beings be free from suffering. Compassion usually may lead one to the second level of concentration, also indicated by some joy and happiness. In fact, this joy and happiness is a bit more distinct, clearer than the loving kindness one. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing may all beings be free from suffering. Keep planting the causes. Okay, and now we're going to add some insight. We're going to reflect how to overcome suffering, which is to detach from these aggregates. And we're going to use impermanence again to shake off the clinging. So any sensation appear, we need to recite rising and passing. Okay, and if the joy of detachment start to disappear instead of the strong neutral emotion of equanimity from previously, this time around this neutral should feel more blank, lighter and blank. So the combination of compassion and insight may lead one to this perception of infinite space. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting rising and passing. And do not get lost in space. We call it clinging to space. Okay, then we switch to the third sublime state, which is appreciative joy. And we're going to rejoice with all beings. So using the lowest common denominator, every moment, every second, all beings will gain a new experience, will perceive something new. So we need some kind of appreciation. So every moment when any sensation appears, we can rejoice with all beings. And if the conditions are right, keep on rejoicing with all beings. This appreciative joy may lead one to the third level of concentration, indicated by this emotion of happiness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on rejoicing with all beings, keep planting the causes. Okay, then the detachment phase, we're going to reflect. All beings will eventually be separated from what they have achieved. So similarly, all these sensations don't stay with us 24/7. They come and go every moment. So we're just going to think arising and passing for every sensation. And if the joy of detachment starts to disappear instead of the blank experience from previously, this time around it should be the opposite, a sense of fullness. So the combination of appreciative joy and insight may lead one to this perception of infinite consciousness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. Okay, and before we conclude the session, due to time constraint, same gentle reminder: in all activities, whether you're standing, sitting, walking or lying down, you can be mindful of impermanence or mindful of the sublime states, and with that we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, informally generate right thought. Okay, any problems or questions from anyone? Okay, if there are no issues, then we proceed on to the closing chant. And dedicating merits. Akasata ca Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang tang anumoditva Cirang rakantu loka sasanang Etavata ca amhehi Sampatang punya sampadang Sabe deva sabe bhuta Sabe sata anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya. So it's dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu Yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we bow 3 times to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, any announcements from Terence? If not, then good night and see you all next week.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem.
Good night.